Hey guys, it's Joe Primal here. Haven't done too much in a while. Oh, here comes some pelicans. Getting them. Big flock of pelicans. I'm out at the ocean in a place called Cambria. It's a small town on the central California coast of the decaying California Republic. This place is falling apart. You can see, I'm sorry, this video quality is not going to be good because the sun's all weird and I suck as a cameraman, but you can see here these ruins of what was stairs down to the beach, and everything's destroyed. And the problem is in California they make everything so insanely expensive that once it gets destroyed there's almost no way to fix it. So slowly but surely we are declining like Rome, and it even looks like Rome. We got the columns here. Hope you can hear me. Hope the audio is coming out okay. Anyway, beautiful spot of the coast here. Nice rocky shore and everything, but I'm not supposed to be here, I'm pretty sure. The signs didn't actually say I couldn't come down here. They just had all the pathways down boarded up and fenced off. So if they can't afford a sign, I can't not read it. So fuck them. Anyway, California's got the biggest coastline of any state in the country. It's huge. And most people don't realize that most of California's coastline is inaccessible. It's up along the Highway 1, along the coast, and it's inaccessible. That's all there is to it. You can't get to it. And yet, they keep encroaching on the areas that are accessible with, like right over there on that, starting at that bluff, is a nature preserve. They just keep putting nature preserves everywhere. We're down to one location on the coast where off-road vehicles are allowed in a place called Pismo Dunes. And even that, every year there's a legal battle. They're trying to close it down to allegedly protect some bird that in, what do we got, like 1,500 miles of coastline or something, can't find a place to nest, right? Bullshit. So, they're doing the same with the mountains and everything. They just keep closing everything off and letting everything decay. They just want everybody in cities. Don't let this freaking happen to you guys. Newsom is going to run for president at some point. I know somebody who knows him, and he's going to run. I don't know if they're going to do the switcheroo with Biden or not, but don't let California get national. Just don't do it. Even if you're a Democrat, don't do it. Anyway, I'm babbling. This is supposed to be a VR to High Desert Pioneer or High Desert Prepper, or I think it's Pioneer. I'm not positive, but he's all I know is he's in the desert and he's high all the time. So, but he did one of those sort of academic theoretical videos today on bribing border guards, and I thought I'd kind of chime in on that because I actually know people through the course of my life who've had experience with that sort of thing. And so I wanted to relate those stories for what it's worth, for the lessons they teach. Not that any of us will likely ever have to bribe a border guard. I'm hoping to get out of California before that's necessary. But the first tale is a guy I know. It was getting toward the end of the Cold War era, and he went to East Berlin from West Berlin, which was the thing you were allowed to do with the proper paperwork and all that stuff. And they drove around and all that kind of stuff, had a beer or whatever, decided the place was shit, and went to go back to the West. And they get there and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning or something, and guards are searching people's cars, and it was a spooky thing for them. And so the guard comes up and checks their papers and asks them the usual questions: how long you been here, blah blah blah. And they're expecting, well, we're going to get all car pulled apart and searched, and then they start wondering, what do we maybe have in the car, So he noticed they had a magazine there, and I if I recall his story, it was like a German version of a Playboy magazine, something like that. You know, a bunch of young guys. And he noticed the guard kept looking at it. And so my friend says, do you want that? You can have that if you want that. And the guard says, I'm not allowed to take gifts. But he said it in a way that implied he wished he was allowed to take gifts. And so my friend, having been primed by somebody or something, I'm not sure, but he said, well, I was going to throw it away anyway. Is there a trash can around here? Could you throw it away for me? And the guy says, oh yes, I'm happy to help. And he took the magazine, and then he just waved them on through. No need to search their car. They're good people. So just a stupid magazine got them. I mean, they would have gotten across the border anyway, but it got them across the border without complications or bullshit. The other thing was a guy who was in an alphabet agency that started with a C and ended with an A and had 3 letters in it. And they routinely crossed the border into northern Iraq from Turkey and, you know, the Kurdish area and stuff like that, back during Saddam's days, to, you know, make connections with the Kurds, and to do various agency business. And you know, I asked him, how do you get across that border there? You're out in the, you know, open and everything. And what they did was, Saddam had border guard stations on the few roads that were out there along the middle of the desert and everything, and he'd stick the guards out there, and they wouldn't take care of them. They wouldn't give them anything. They might be out there for months without a single contact from their command or anything. Nothing. No food, no water, no nothing. And so the CIA guys learned that first thing is you keep a low profile. You don't, you know, come in there, hey, they're the CIA, looking like the CIA. You know, you speak their language, you look like a local, and you are just going to visit your sister in Fallujah or some shit, you know? And they bribed the guards with things they needed. A couple gallon jugs of water, sandwiches, an ice chest with a 6-pack of Coke that's cold. Those guys don't get cold things out there in the middle of the freaking Iraqi desert in the summer. And that was all it took. Just a little, you know, whatever. But the key was to not look like they had more. You know, they'd drive a beater of a car and they'd have beater shit. So anyway, you know, the lesson there is that there's not going to be like a sign that has a set price. And the chances are, if it's a regular border crossing, the guards are not going to want to look like they're taking things, you know, just in case they could get in some trouble. Another story is back when I was really looking into sailing a few years back and had grand plans to sail the world and all that, which probably won't come to fruition, but you never know. I was on a lot of sailing forums, and there were a lot of forums giving people advice on going into Cuba. Because Americans are not allowed to travel to Cuba, but people did all the time. They'd sail in there. Now, it might be a little sketchier now, but the Cubans were smart enough to do business, and so they would, you know, they'd let the Americans in, and you had to check in with the immigration office, but they wouldn't stamp your passport because they knew if they did, you'd get in trouble, and they didn't want you to get in trouble because they wanted you to come spend money in Cuba. So, anyway, they would have a thing there where, I don't know why that guy's watching me from up on the cliff, but that on the forums, they tell you exactly what to do. You go into this harbor, you know, tie up at this dock, and you go in and talk to the immigration official and the harbor master, whatever. Anyway, and they warn you, give them, it was either $5 or $20. I think it was only $5 a day. And they cautioned you, don't try and give them more thinking, oh, they're going to be extra nice or they're going to think you're a nice guy. Because if we start giving them more, they're going to all expect more. And they're going to start thinking, oh, these rich Americans, we can milk them, you know. So you just keep it to 5, you keep it on the down low, don't be obvious about it, and that's that. You got your place and you pay the dock fee, which was like nothing compared to what we pay here in California. And that was that. And you're done. So, you know, the other lesson is you don't want to be showing money, you know, or wealth in whatever form it was. A High Desert Pioneer was talking about gold, you know. You want to show up desperate and negotiating from the bottom. You're a broke ass SOB. You ain't got no gold. You ain't got much of anything. And a good technique is something like, you know, when the guy's trying to press you that now you need this and that, you're like, I don't have anything, you know, I don't have that, or whatever. Don't stack up some gold coins so much. Get yourself some of these. Get yourself some wedding bands. Some cheap used old wedding bands. I mean, they're not going to be too cheap, they're gold, but have a few of those, because you put that on, and then as you're negotiating with the guy and you're trying to convince him you don't have anything, you can like offer him your watch if you've got a watch or something, and then reluctantly offer him your wedding band, because if you're a guy giving up his wedding ring, and you might do the same thing for the ladies, if you're giving up your wedding ring to get across the border, he's going to figure that's all you got. You got nothing else, right? Because that's like, you're at rock bottom desperate when you're coughing that up. And the answer to what he wants to get you across there, if he's a real asshole, is he wants whatever he can squeeze out of you. So make it look like you're giving up your last drop of blood, you know? Anyway, I have never bribed my way out of or into anything, so you can take my advice with a grain of salt, but that's what I've heard from other people. And I don't know, High Desert, I'm curious what you think about the ring idea, and anybody else have any other thoughts on that kind of stuff. You know, put it in the comments down below. This is entirely an academic conversation. It's only slightly more realistic than zombies, but, well, I guess it's a lot more realistic than zombies. But these academic conversations are, you know, important to have because they get us thinking about things, and just don't go too far down the rabbit hole, guys. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Goodbye from the absolutely gorgeous coast of California. California is wonderful. It's a shame that the people are stupid and they elect a government that sucks. And having watched this place decline over the course of my lifetime, it is just the saddest thing imaginable. You call someplace paradise, you can kiss it goodbye, as the Eagles said. Anyway, Joe out.